Blackwood Manor. The name itself hung heavy, a shroud of whispers in the small, isolated town of Ashton. Locals knew the stories, passed down through many generations. The manor, with its crumbling facade and overgrown gardens, stood on a hill overlooking the town, a constant brooding presence. Few dared approach, and none stayed after dark, fearing the unknown. The stories spoke of cold spots, disembodied voices, and shadows that moved with unnatural speed. Blackwood Manor was a place of secrets, a canvas upon which fear had painted its darkest, most terrifying masterpiece. The Blackwoods were once a prominent family, their name synonymous with wealth and influence. Richard Blackwood, the patriarch, was a stern man, his fortune built on industry and shrouded in rumours of ruthlessness. His wife, Eleanor, was known for her beauty and her melancholic air. They had 2 children, Daniel and Susan, their laughter once echoing through the manor's halls. The family portrait, now faded and gathering dust in the attic, captured a moment frozen in time, a cruel reminder of what was and what would never be again. The year 1953 saw an abrupt and chilling end to the Blackwood dynasty. On a stormy November night, as the wind howled like a banshee and rain lashed against the manor's windows, tragedy struck. The Blackwoods vanished without a trace, leaving behind an unsettling tableau of half-eaten meals, overturned furniture, and an eerie silence that spoke volumes. The townsfolk, accustomed to the manor's isolation, initially paid little attention. It was only when days turned into weeks that the chilling realization dawned. Something sinister had transpired within those walls. Uncle Ezra, a spectre at the feast. The name alone sent shivers down the spines of those who heard it. Suspicions immediately fell upon Richard's brother, Ezra Blackwood, a man shrouded in mystery and whispers. A recluse, even by the family's standards, Ezra was a scholar of the occult, delving into ancient texts and forbidden knowledge. His gaunt figure and piercing gaze were unsettling even to those who knew him best, casting a shadow of unease wherever he went. He had always been an outsider, a solitary figure who preferred the company of his books to that of people. His eccentricities were tolerated rather than embraced, and he was often the subject of hushed conversations and wary glances. Ezra, however, vehemently denied any involvement in his brother's disappearance, his voice filled with a mix of anger and desperation. He claimed to have been away, conducting research in a remote corner of the country when the tragedy occurred, far from the manor and its dark secrets. His alibi, however, remained unsubstantiated, with no one able to confirm his whereabouts during the crucial hours. This only fueled the growing suspicion that swirled around him like the mist that clung to the manor grounds, thick and impenetrable. Whispers in the dark, the investigation. The police investigation was thorough but ultimately inconclusive. No signs of forced entry, no witnesses, no ransom demands. The Blackwoods had simply vanished, swallowed whole by the shadows of Blackwood Manor. The investigators, hardened professionals accustomed to the darkest corners of human nature, were left baffled. Some whispered of dark rituals and ancient curses, their skepticism shaken by the palpable sense of dread that permeated the manor. The case grew cold, the file gathering dust alongside the Blackwood family portrait, but the questions lingered, unanswered and unsettling. The haunting continues, echoes of terror. In the years that followed, Blackwood Manor remained abandoned, a testament to tragedy and unanswered questions. The once grand estate, now a crumbling relic, stood as a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. Yet it was far from deserted. The air inside seemed to hum with an eerie energy, as if the very walls were alive with memories of the past. Stories circulated of strange lights emanating from the windows, flickering like ghostly lanterns in the dead of night, of blood-curdling screams carried on the wind, echoing through the trees and sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen, and of shadowy figures glimpsed flitting through the overgrown gardens, moving with an unnatural grace that defied explanation. Some dismissed these accounts as the ramblings of overactive imaginations, the product of local folklore and the power of suggestion, fueled by tales passed down through generations and the eerie ambience of the manor itself. Others, however, weren't so sure. They believed there was more to these stories than mere superstition. They claimed to feel a cold, unseen presence, a chill that seemed to seep into their very bones, to hear their names whispered in the dead of night, voices that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, and to experience a sense of overwhelming dread that clung to them long after they had left the manor's grounds. A feeling that something unseen was watching, waiting. Blackwood Manor, a prison of stone and shadow? Is Blackwood Manor truly haunted by the spirits of the Blackwood family, their souls trapped in a perpetual purgatory, forever seeking answers and retribution? Or are these apparitions mere figments of our imagination, conjured by the eerie silence and the creaking floorboards of this ancient house? Or is the true horror something far more earthly, a darkness that lingers in the wake of a terrible crime, a crime so heinous that its memory refuses to fade, casting a long shadow over the manor and its surroundings, a reminder that some secrets refuse to be buried, their echoes reverberating through time, whispering their dark tales to anyone who dares to listen? The old journals and forgotten letters found within its walls tell stories of love, betrayal, and unimaginable sorrow, a chilling testament to the capacity for evil that resides within the human heart, a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are not the ones that lurk in the shadows, but those that walk among us in broad daylight. The answer, like the manor itself, remains shrouded in shadow, hidden behind layers of history and mystery, waiting for the brave or the foolish to uncover its secrets. A chilling enigma that continues to captivate and terrify in equal measure, drawing in those who seek the thrill of the unknown and leaving them with more questions than answers.